John chapter 4 verse 24 says, God is a spirit, and they that should worship him in spirit and in truth. Spirit and humans part 2. How can you worship a spirit? Don't forget in part 1, I took my time to explain how to access a spirit. That one of the way to access a spirit is by sacrifice, being displayed by God himself, who is the higher spirit so far, by giving his only begotten son. And if we go through the Bible right from after the fall of man, it makes us to understand that the only way to access him now is by sacrifice. And that is what happened between Cain and Abel, when Abel gave sacrifice, and Cain gave also. But he chose that of Abel because Abel's sacrifice was with respect, but Cain's sacrifice was with disrespect. And God loved to be respected because he's our Father, he's our God, he's our Creator. He loved to be honored. If you also go through the Bible, you will see where prophets, men of God, create power by sacrifice, like Elijah called down fire by sacrifice. Solomon became the richest man on earth today by sacrifice. You can go on and on how great men emerge great by sacrifice. Even the disciple, you didn't hear anything about their wife, their children, their brothers, because the journey is sacrificial journey to spread the gospel. Even to date, if we move to the other part a little bit, you find out that even the politicians of our country, Nigeria, today are making sacrifice, and that's why before election they will share a bag of rice. And we still don't know the mystery why they decide our fate in the country. Then we can go on and talk about some of the big boys that we know in town. And I bet you, if we dig, they're not all, if you dig deep into their source of big boyalty, you find that it's based on sacrifice. So that creates the understanding that sacrifice is one of the key to unlock the doors of the spirit. And that also means that sacrifice is one of the way to access God. Now, there are different ways to sacrifice. You can sacrifice your time. You can sacrifice your time to serve God. You can sacrifice your family and make sure all of them are serving God. You can sacrifice your business by paying your tithe, or by using part of it to contribute to the spread and the growth of the gospel. You can sacrifice your friends by turning all of them to God. You can sacrifice your strength by praying to him. So there are different ways to sacrifice to God, to be able to get access to God, because God is a spirit, and they that should worship him in spirit and in truth. Now let's come to one particular knowledge and the point I want to make. As some people will ask, why do God need sacrifice? Can't God just answer me without me stressing myself to pray? Can't God just answer me without me laboring myself to go to church? Can't God just answer me without me taking anything from myself to commit to the growth of the gospel? Can't God just answer me? Okay, let's bring it this way. And the answer, personal answer, is no. Why? Because when God did that in the Garden of Eden, where they were not sacrificing, they disappointed him, they betrayed him, they disobeyed him. And God lost that trust for man. And that is why he drove Adam and Eve out of the garden. And he brought back another way to access him, which is what Cain and Abel started. Sacrifice. Raise an altar to reach out to him. If you check the miracle of Jesus, like the feeding of 5 loaves of bread, like the fish that break the net, like the resurrection of Lazarus, which the sister took a costly perfume to anoint the feet of Jesus, you find that it is linked to one sacrifice or the other to be able to unlock. And that is why even Jesus himself had to give his blood as a sacrifice, his life as a sacrifice, so that we can gain liberty. So this brings the understanding that one way to access God as a spirit, or one way to worship God as a spirit, is to worship or sacrifice. When we talk about worship, we will just look at it in the music aspect, which is singing. And I can tell you, those that really worship God sacrificially, that lose their self for God, even in the altar of worship, can gain access to him, that those are just sing from their mouth. That is to tell you how God can be very passionate about sacrifice. And don't forget, I also mentioned the different ways we can sacrifice to worship God in spirit and in truth. Because sometimes people always look at the monetary aspect of it, but we also understand that praying should be a sacrificial prayer, which sometimes we talk about fasting and prayer. Even praising God must be a sacrificial praise. Giving to God must come from your heart. Then soul winning, all these are sacrifice that open the doors of heaven and bring down his blessing.